I'm Naveen. I lead the growth for Straive, global growth, with a primary mandate to how do we add value to our clients, in the process get the growth for the organization. Yeah, if you look at it, back in those as I started my career, around like back in 90s, late 90s kind of a thing. So one, it was more the internet wave, I think what has come up, where people were kind of moving on to the web primarily from a desktop to web. I think yes, I think we're seeing quite a kind of a movement happening on that front. And then the more the data science, and people moving on to the cloud, and then machine learning. I'm sure there are a lot of trends, technologies which come and get into the hype cycle, get kind of standardized or democratized in the enterprise. But I think what we are observing today largely is GenAI is one such technology, just like how search has kind of enabled to kind of create a lot more applications, lot more value to end consumers and enterprise. GenAI is one such thing, I think, which is doing a revolutionary thing quite a bit, where it's become part of the regular enterprise applications. What you would have imagined, to give an example, we done particular NLP kind of an engagement with another client on customer analytics. What has been accomplished over a process of close to 3 to 6 months, that is something with GenAI, given the model maturity, given the training it has gone through, we were able to kind of get this done in like not even less than 2 weeks. That is what a GenAI can do. So it's opened up the opportunities for clients, enterprises, consumers quite a bit. So it's going to stay. It's not like a hype cycle. And that's what at least I could tell you with my experience. Any innovation always happens is you start off with, people trying to experiment, dabble with multiple things, and, create some, unique applications or bespoke applications. But what's important is, more how do you take it to the end client? How do you make sure you connect to the core systems or the transactional systems where the value is constantly generated? So in our term, what we call it is operationalizing AI. It is not just creating sexy models, not creating, getting all the data scientists and creating statistical analysis, but more important, how do you take it to the last mile? Now, to do that, you would need definitely the data science, LLMs, GenAI, or any of the models, what is apt for it, largely, right? But more important is where you have a process understanding, where you have a domain understanding, where you know how an end user workflow has to be, so that you are able to incorporate this into the workflow of an organization, which is what we call it as an operationalizing the AI. I think where you need technology, where you need definitely engineering, where you need process, more important, the domain. Example, if I were able to give it, let's try, on our roles, we have close to 200 plus legal experts, 200 to 50 odd, science PhDs. Why do we have it? Because we do have data scientists to create the models, but to kind of take it to the end user who understands the language, that is where we kind of take this domain and process, embed into the organization. Oh, quite a few. Where do I start? So let me take, maybe in the interest of time, just 2 examples, which I kind of look at this are very interesting. What I've seen selling, or seeing this, being in the consulting world, selling to their clients, and then what we're doing it now. So we're working with another regulatory authority. So they had hordes and hordes of documents. You could imagine one regulated document spanning across 900 pages. Multiply that by hundreds and thousands. The complexity is huge. How do you search for a specific clause or a specific term, and then are able to kind of consume it? And once this is exposed to the external world, if people like you and me have to go and search, it's huge. Unless we don't know the domain, we don't know the. So what we have something called as using the LLM, we try to create a capability of a document search, wherein I'm able to give a keyword, able to provide the context, write the right prompt. It able to kind of scan through all the documents, millions of documents, give me a right summary, right? So now multiply this into multiple other domains, use this in the customer service, use this in the HR process, all the policy documents of enterprise could be kind of extracted. So that's one such example. Second, we were kind of working with one of the contract or legal analysis stand. So in a specific contracts, imagine enterprise having millions of contracts, signing up hundreds of them on a every monthly basis. And these contracts extending over a period of next 5 years or 20 years, or for a lifetime for some matter. Then how do you ensure that, you are safeguarded? Manually, it's been a very cumbersome process. You use LLMs, any of these techniques, want to know what kind of a contracts are you signing? Are you exposed on these 10 particular areas or not? That is something where we're helping our clients to kind of figure out instantaneously and take the past repository, run through the models and say, hey, this is where your risk lies. So that's, I would say, more on a couple of them, but, I can talk through on customer service, marketing, software engineering, all of those aspects. If I just pick up one of the last private equity where we're working with, so they're more into the, I would say, investments on in real estate. So you have the asset managers or the portfolio managers or asset managers essentially who are evaluating the various assets. Now they've been working on Excel with quite a bit of information, trying to compare multiple data fields, etc. And they don't want to have a change moving from Excel to something else. So what we did is one, we adopted their workflow, try to put up a GenAI model on the Excel itself, which is great, right? And then trying to create an easy way where if they're able to type in an English language, I want to know about this particular asset in this particular country, about this particular 4 fields, the information just comes boom, right? So they were kind of wowed to kind of see that what are the workflow which was taking them almost like 40, 50 minutes. Now you have an answer in 4 seconds. Multiply this enterprise wide. It's very powerful. It's huge. I mean, so today, English as a language is predominant. But when you take European, when you get into the Asian subcontinents or any of those aspects, so the problem I would say is less addressed today. And come into the India as a market, vernacular market, where you have the languages, dialects, a lot more things. So I think there's a huge opportunity for technology to play a critical role in it. So things are getting solved, but I think we can dabble into a lot more things there. We look at typically into clients having, if I just break it, clients into 2 broad categories. Someone who has a clear strategy and they would want to kind of execute 1, 2, 3, 4. Someone who wants to get started, they don't know the strategy. So we have a framework, essentially an advisory and consulting framework for GenAI, where we look at the maturity of an organization, readiness of an organization from GenAI standpoint, and taking in multiple variables, one from a leadership support, data readiness, technology infrastructure, do you have the right business value kind of realized, right? So we have a framework from a strategy perspective for them to know this is what is your GenAI strategy has to be, what is your roadmap. And then once you have this first element, second comes in is more important in terms of getting into the execution aspect of it, which is where the volume and velocity comes in. So how quickly are you able to kind of churn the POCs? So that is where, because these models are changing at a constant pace. I know in 30 minutes, someone would have created a new model with a much more better efficiency. So how quickly are you able to experiment it out? Yes, I do 10 experiments, one works. Pick it up. Then post that is how do you deploy into enterprise? So this is where I think, as I said about you need technology, you need engineering, you need domain, you need process knowledge so that you're able to embed into an enterprise world to realize value. So we have a very defined framework, one from more of advisory and consulting, implementation, more in terms of POCs, MVPs, and then into the end products. And third, more important, is more of an adoption and change management. So how are people able to adopt the particular new offering? Where do you see value or ROI out of it? An ROI framework has been deployed. Third, how do you kind of take it in the change management? Explain to user you are doing this XYZ. This is what is the benefit moving on to this new particular way of doing a workflow. So we have a defined framework for us to go and help our clients. I don't think there's any straight answer, but there's one way. I think if I were to kind of call this, I think I know it's like people call this as more an artificial intelligence, but in my view, I look at it as augmented intelligence, where any of these models are augmenting the human intelligence. I think one, if anyone perceives in that way, I think there is a great differentiation for them. Two, I think I heard this in some other conference where they say the new programming language is now English. As long as you know English as a programming language, you're able to kind of do it. So, but more important, if I were to call it as a 3 V's for me. One, if anyone who has a clear value articulated, defined in their business plan, saying that by GenAI, I'm going to have this value kind of delivered or realized in the enterprise. So that means there's a clear strategy and value linked to it. So that establishes them in the much more forefront in the race. Second is a velocity, the pace at which you are ready to make these investments, realize the value of the technology, able to implement, and then take it to the end user. Third is a variety. It's an experimentation. How do you kind of make sure your organization is ready for all these experiments? That could be the technology infrastructure, data readiness, leadership commitment, partnership, ecosystem, larger alliances. So, but yeah, to sum it up, it's a 3 V's: volume, velocity, and variety. I don't think anyone would answer in my view, because LLMs are changing so fast, right? I think, I'll take an example. In fact, one of the offering we have for our clients is how do I pick up do an LLM ops, because it's changing so rapidly, where even if you look at from an efficiency standpoint and then the cost of it. So what was something which was, costing you $100 yesterday, today as the same model has come down to their equivalent better models coming to at $1. How can one needs to be aware of all of these changing technologies, changing LLMs, what is it, and then one reconfiguring what you have or adopting something new. I think this is like a very interesting field, what we typically call as LLM ops. Short answer, there is no favorite model. I think pick up what is relevant for your business use case, what is value at that point of a time, keeping two things: efficiency and then effectiveness, and then the cost of the models.